What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. I have been enjoying Phase 2 Season of Discovery for the past 7 days. I'm having a blast. We've done 2 no more lockouts, cleared 6 out of 6 every time, and I gotta say the raid is amazing. I would love to know what you guys think about it in the comments down below. But we have some major class buffing coming in on next maintenance, so I want to go over all that real quick with you guys and take a look at the DPS rankings on Warcraft logs and see where all of these classes stand. But I think that there is definitely some tuning that needs to be done, and this honestly might be a tricky one because we're getting into the realm of where it's going to be really hard to balance a class's damage in PvE, but not make them completely broken in PvP. So without further ado, let's dive in. So for starters, guys, let's go over a few quick hotfixes and updates that have come out over the past couple of days. So the first one that comes to mind here is the Goblin Transponder being added to Rick's Zyzzyk in Booty Bay. This is going to be basically for any horde that have gotten rid of their Goblin Transponder. You can now talk to Rix and basically use it as the lost and found helper and get your transponder back so that you can get teleported to Gnomeregan. This is a nice change. I'm assuming that this was happening to a lot of people. They were either getting rid of it by accident or I don't know, whatever was happening. Now you can actually get it back and still get your teleport to Gnomeregan. So that's a nice hot fix on Blizzard's part. And moving on, we have the change to Subjugate Demon for Warlocks. Basically what was happening was Warlocks were able to enslave other meta locks for 5 minutes. Basically, they couldn't play the game, which is obviously not how this was intended to be used. So Blizzard has gone on record here and said it was never intended to allow someone to control another player for that long. To address this problem, a change went in last night to decrease the duration of Subjugate Demon against players down from 5 minutes to 10 seconds, with diminishing returns following suit. There are some cool class interactions out there that feel niche that we hope to retain within reason, especially in PvP environments. So I think overall that's a great hotfix. That was definitely not intended gameplay, and I can imagine was getting pretty annoying for meta locks. The next hotfix is the Charge hotfix. Now this one hits home for me because I main warrior, and that's what I've been playing for the past 7 days in Phase 2. And basically they put out a fix so that what was happening was you basically needed to be directly facing your target to actually charge at them. So the way that they've done this is made it back to the way that it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to charge any target that's like in front of you, right? That means like peripherals and forward. You should be able to charge a target. It was at a point where you needed to be like directly facing a target almost. Sometimes it was so glitchy. So having them change this is really nice as well, and I'm glad that they did this so soon because this was kind of annoying. Now moving into some of the class tuning, we're going to take a look at Josh Greenfield or Agrin's tweet here before we jump into the actual changes, just so that everyone knows what's going on. He says, "Quick look at class changes next week. Keep in mind that this is an ongoing process and we'll be making tactical adjustments for several weeks to come. Just because your class isn't listed here doesn't mean we aren't listening and considering other changes. Thanks." So basically he's saying like, hey, just, letting you know that we're listening and we're making changes, and these are the changes that we're implementing right now, right? So if your class isn't listed on here, don't worry, they are listening and they will make changes as things need to be done. So let's take a look at some of the class tuning coming with next week's maintenance. So for starters, we have Druids, right? This is probably where we've seen the biggest amount of changes. Druids seem to be getting that crazy hunter treatment from Phase 1 with the nerfs and buffs and nerfs and buffs. So starting off with Druids, we have Swipe now scales with attack power, gaining 10% of attack power as damage. Threat caused by Swipe has also been greatly increased, so that's going to help out Bear Druids quite a bit, but hold on, we're not done yet. The Berserk rune now also causes Lacerate to hit 3 targets, so now Lacerate is going to be cleaving, spreading that bleeding dot on 3 targets, which is really going to help Bear Druids quite a bit. And in my opinion, this is a good change because Bear Druids were severely lacking in this department. So having Swipe scale a little bit better and having Berserk basically make Lacerate a cleave, this is going to help them out quite a bit. And then we have the duration of Rip has been increased to 16 seconds, up from 12 seconds, which is going to help out our feral kitty cats. And then we have the next Starfire cast after the Star Surge rune ability now has its damage increased to 80%, up from 66%. A little bit of a buff there to Starfire, trying to get it to work as intended in tandem with the Star Surge rune. So I guess we're gonna have to wait and see what this feels like when this does go live with next week's maintenance on Tuesday. But I think overall this is pretty good. They're trying to get that balance in there, because the problem is, guys, like I said at the beginning of this video, it's gonna be really hard to kind of balance classes to perform well in PvE but not be too overpowered in PvP, and vice versa. So I think this is gonna be just a balancing act the entire phase and going forward as we level up closer to level 60 and unlock more and more runes and abilities. So some of the changes we have going out for shamans, we have the dual wield specialization rune now provides a 50% bonus damage to your offhand weapon swings. Lava Lash now gains 50% increased damage if Flame Tongue weapon is imbued on your offhand, and the proc chance of Maelstrom weapon is now roughly 50% higher when your main hand weapon or your two-handed weapon is imbued with Wind Fury. And I think overall these are some pretty good buffs, but let's read through the last two real quick, and then we're going to take a look at the DPS rankings. Then for mages, we have a fix to Conjure Water rank 5. It's now going to conjure a full stack of 20 water instead of just 2, with some developer notes here that say the tooltip will still indicate that only 2 are conjured. We hope to adjust the tooltip in the future. So that's really nice, a nice quality of life thing. Basically, you're going to be able to conjure a full stack of rank 5 mage conjured water in one cast instead of having to cast it 10 times, which is a little bit crazy when you think about it. Moving on to paladins, we have Art of War now reduces the mana cost of Exorcism and Holy Shock by 80% when active, which is really nice, and Beacon of Light base mana cost has been greatly decreased. The paladin changes above were activated on all Season of Discovery realms yesterday, February 14th, in this region. The rest of the changes will go live on February 20th. So we got the paladin buffs early, which definitely are needed. You never really see holy paladins right now because, quite frankly, they're just not that good. So the paladin changes have gone out instantly, I guess, and we have to wait until maintenance for the shaman, mage, and druid changes. But let's jump over to Warcraft logs and take a look at the rankings. So if you take a look at these rankings right now, it's pretty crazy to see this, right? We're looking at across all percentiles, right? Because that's how we're going to get the, the most accurate, like what the actual player base is seeing and feeling. So we're looking at all percentiles here. We have melee hunters in first place, shadow priests in second place, fire mages following that, then DPS warlocks, elemental shamans, arcane mages, DPS rogues, balanced druid, feral druid, DPS warrior, marksmanship hunter, DPS paladin, enhancement shaman, frost mage. So this is going to be accurate based on like how the player base is feeling. The majority of people, right? This isn't basically averaging all percentiles together. This is across everything. So this is what I was talking about earlier when I was like, it's going to be really hard to kind of balance all these classes in PvE and PvP, right? Because balanced druids were super strong in PvP, but look where they sit in the raid, right? They are below the halfway point on DPS. Same goes for feral druids. Feral druids are way down there. I mean, a lot of this is due to the armor that the Gnomergan bosses have currently. So I'm not sure if that's ever going to change, but if it does, we could see a lot of these physical DPS dealers kind of bump their way up. I mean, look at enhancement shamans. They're down there with frost mages. So those changes were absolutely necessary, but if you fight an enhancement shaman in Arathi or out in the world, it's basically like fighting a raid boss. So it's really, really hard to kind of balance this. I think Blizzard is doing the best that they absolutely can, and I'm really curious to see where enhancement shamans are going to be sitting going forward with those buffs. I'm not sure if it's going to really affect their raid performance that much. But we got to kind of wait and see. But yeah, if you haven't noticed, melee hunter is the only physical DPS that's up there above the casters. Really, right now in the we're in the second lockout. It is really, really spell damage heavy, simply because of the amount of armor that these bosses have. So let me know what you guys think about the raid down in the comments below. I'm maining DPS warrior, and I'm having an absolute blast, even with the high armor. I pump in the raid. It's not a big deal to me. I'm really enjoying it. I think the raid was well designed, but I want to know what you guys think about that down in the comments below, and let me know what you think about these rankings of the DPS classes on Warcraft logs. Like, do you think that it should stay this way for the rest of the phase? I mean, think about when your rogues and your warriors start getting near full bis. I feel like we're gonna see them, even with the high armor, start jumping up this list quite a bit. But it's a tricky thing. If they try and modify this now, what happens when warriors get full bis? The scaling is out of control. So if they cater to them right now, it might be just off the charts crazy later on. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just leave the armor the way it is. And just let melee and physical DPS naturally scale the way that they do. But anyways, yeah, that's really all I've got for you today, guys. A lot of updates. But if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Really does help me out with the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you don't miss the next time I post a video. And if you want to hang out with me live, I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/hammerdance. I'll drop a link to that in the description below this video. And if you want to join an awesome Discord community full of like-minded people who all enjoy geeking out over Classic WoW and Season of Discovery, we will welcome you with open arms. Link to the Discord in the description as well. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching and listening in. I'll see you all in the next one.